we don't know what God is. We can't talk about what God is. Mm-hmm. But we're talking, and so we need a word, and so we're going to use that word. Welcome to the Laughing.Mystics, an unorthodox journey through the liturgical year with Laura Lewis Barr and Marci Maderi. Hooray! It's recording day.
Isn't that great?
So we've been doing a lot in a row, and we've picked up our pace for various reasons, and it's like being on retreat. I've been thinking about it. It's like being immersed in the readings does something to a person.
Totally.
Yeah. Whether or not I love them or I'm struggling with them, it does put me in a kind of just an awareness of the thousands of years people have reflected on these words, and I'm now in that stream, and yeah.
And our listeners are too. Isn't that cool?
All right.
So this is Holy Trinity Sunday, and something I'd like to start off by saying is that I am particular about my pronouns when I refer to the Trinity.
Okay.
My personal theology. When I talk about God, I talk about God generally, or Father and Mother. God is creator, not a pronoun. Jesus, okay. He was a dude. The Spirit, I always refer to as female, with female pronouns. As we talk about this, and even in the readings with the gospel, I'm going to change those pronouns because I just so resonate with that feminine energy, not necessarily female, but feminine energy alive in the Spirit, as being so powerful in surprising ways, as I feel within myself holding that feminine energy, that comes forward in graceful ways.
I love that. And, Marci and I never really talk ahead of time about what we're going to say. And sometimes we find that we're in the same track. Sometimes we find we're on parallel or tracks going in the opposite directions. But yeah, your reflection is not only great, but I have something analogous. Yay. Cool.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And I just want to say it while we're thinking about it. Do we want to talk about Ilia Delio now? And I think we have to talk about it.
We just had the privilege of going to listen to Ilia Delio this week with Ed, and to bask in her brilliance, and to swim around in the depths of her thought.
So maybe one thing we can say is maybe one idea or one thing that you took with you from it, if you want. I was afraid to ask a question, but I did ask a question that really helped me. Ilia addressed the idea of the use of Christ in a lot of the terminology that she and Teilhard both use. And I'm not going to be able to say it well, but she basically said that the incarnation is the next step in evolution. And so because the Christian story is about the incarnation, then we can say that Christianity is a vehicle for talking about the evolution. And then she said both she and Teilhard certainly felt that all faiths go into this mystery, but that the Christian story is a great way to understand the mystery of evolution, that she and Teilhard talk about.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And you were wonderfully articulate as you asked the question. Nicely done.
Oh, wow. Okay, great.
I really resonated with her talking about God not as perfection, but as presence. But it's a different way of understanding God, that God isn't the far away, perfect deity, but present in our becoming and in the world's becoming, that God is integral into it, personally and globally and in the cosmos as well. That God's a part of all of it. And that there's that one energy that from the beginning of time that is constant. This is Teilhard, and Teilhard named it love. And we talk about very comfortably that God is love. And so that through line from the beginning of creation until we don't know when.
Yeah, and I think both the word God and the word love came under question during the talk. And Ilya said, we don't know what God is. We can't talk about what God is. But we're talking, and so we need a word, and so we're going to use that word. Same with love. It's like love isn't the romantic romance novel love. It's something about what brings things together.
And that both words are inadequate.
Totally.
For some people, and maybe some listeners, just the word God is problematic.
Yeah.
And the word love is problematic.
Yeah.
So how do we open those up to that bigger space?
All right, yay. I'm glad we did that little detour, and we'll see where it ends in the edit. But yeah, shall we begin?
All right. A reading from the book of Proverbs. Thus says the wisdom of God. The Lord possessed me, the beginning of his ways, the forerunner of his prodigies of long ago. From of old I was poured forth, at the first before the earth. When there was no depths, I was brought forth. When there was no fountains or springs of water. Before the mountains were settled into place, before the hills, I was brought forth. While as yet the earth and fields were not made, nor the first clods of the world. When the Lord established the heavens, I was there. When he marked out the vault over the face of the deep, when he made firm the skies above, when he fixed fast the foundations of the earth, when he set for the sea its limit, so that the waters should not transgress his command, then was I beside him as his craftsman, and I was his delight day by day, playing before him all the while, playing on the surface of the earth, and I found delight in the human race.
I am not used to changing pronouns while I read, so that was that little glitch.
Well, that's quite all right. It's a relational moment, and so the pronoun was helpful. But this is, thus says, the wisdom of God, and the wisdom in the Old Testament is often portrayed as female. Now, I read a commentary, and it said, oh, this is about the Christ, being apart, before time.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, no, man, this is about the Spirit.
Yeah.
So, and the wisdom is so closely connected with the Spirit.
Sophia,
yes. I love that playfulness. I mean, that's something I've always loved about the Spirit, is the playfulness of it.
Yeah.
And we talked in the last episode on Pentecost about wind and how the wind is closely aligned with the Spirit, or a nice physical representation of the Spirit, and how playful the wind can be. You know how it turns those leaves in the autumn in circles and makes the trees dance with delight. And so I'm like, yeah, let's play.
I don't know why, but when I read this, I was reminded of Jung's deep writing on Eros and Logos. And so I'll give just my understanding, and I have a quote. But so Eros is associated with the feminine and Logos with the masculine. Eros is what pulls together, and Logos is what discriminates and separates. And so these two energies are part of the world, and a big part of the world that goes wrong is not enough Eros, not enough love. Eros was the god of love. And so Eros is associated with love. And so we have this female loving energy in this reading that reminds me of Eros. And of course, Logos is associated with Christ.
Yes, the word.
Yes, the word. So here's Jung. Eros is an interweaving. Logos is the capacity for differentiation, clarifying light. Eros is relatedness. Logos is discrimination and detachment. So, yeah, I think it's just fun that shows up in this reading, these two energies of the universe that play.
And have that intimacy with each other.
The other thing I think about is what is at the heart of life? That wisdom is at the heart of life. And I think related to wisdom is goodness. You know, wisdom is ultimate goodness. I don't know. Let's talk more about what do we mean? What is wisdom? Why is that the word that's used?
Well, I think of wisdom as more than just intellect.
Yeah.
It's the deep knowing.
And it is related to love, right? It is related to goodness. So we don't have a world that's been created just from this abstraction of a intellect. We have a world that was created in relationship and relatedness. Yeah. That is sort of the ground of our beings. This is the Big Bang, the moment of the Big Bang that Ilya references a lot.
Not just knowledge, but deep understanding.
And that the God force is got the female and male energies. Right. Yeah, and I'm just noticing. So, like, everything that God does in this reading is kind of that discriminating, this making the skies and the foundations and setting the sea at its limit. It's like it is that discriminating, separating action. But if that were the only thing, that wouldn't hold the world together. Right. Everything would just fly apart, which is what Ilya said the other day, right?
Right. Gravity.
If we didn't have love at the base of it, everything would fly apart. The second reading is from Romans. Oh, goody. Sisters and brothers, therefore, since we have been justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ, through whom we have gained access by faith to this grace in which we stand, and we boast in hope of the glory of God. Not only that, but we even boast of our afflictions, knowing that affliction produces endurance, and endurance, proven character, and proven character, hope. And hope does not disappoint because the love of God has been poured out into our hearts through the Holy Spirit that has been given to us.
So this reading from Romans is kind of captures one of the pillars of Romans, of this book, and that's being justified by faith. Saved by faith, not by works.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to kind of chewing on a lot of this because there's a lot here, man. It's dense. And so starting with justified by faith, and that made me think about, well, what do I have faith in, or what do I trust in? I guess I'm trying to dig under the way I usually hear this, which is sort of the static thing that you talked about. Like,
Right.
I have faith, so I'm saved. But I'm looking at, I have faith, and so I'm saved because of the way faith works. As an action, not as a one and done.
Because of what faith requires.
What does it require?
Consistent trust.
Okay.
Consistent belief. Consistent, like that relaxing into God. I mean, the faith fall, that trust fall.
Yeah.
Right. Can I do that with God? Can I fall backwards and trust that God's going to hold me?
Let me read a quote because this might help me articulate. And this is from the commencement address by David Foster Wallace. In the day-to-day trenches of adult life, there is actually no such thing as atheism. There's no such thing as not worshiping. Everybody worships. The only choice we get is what to worship. And the compelling reason for maybe choosing some sort of God or spiritual type thing to worship, be it JC or Allah, be it Yahweh or the Wiccan Mother Goddess or the Four Noble Truths or some inviolable set of ethical principles, is that pretty much anything else you worship will eat you alive. If you worship money and things, if you worship your body and beauty, if you worship power. So, and he goes into all of these things you can worship and how they just flip back on. You're never going to be beautiful enough. You're never going to have enough money. Never going to have enough power. Just this idea that, what do I have faith in? What do I worship? And so faith saves me, not because I said a few magic words, but because I have oriented myself toward a certain way of seeing the world. I don't know. It may seem like I'm hairs. What's the
splitting
hairs? But it helps me to not just take this in the way that everyone seems to take it. Yeah.
Right. Well, it's the conversation, as you said. What is faith? What does faith look like? How do I live faith?
Yeah.
So it's not just an abstract concept, but something that's real.
Right. And it starts with a mindset. And then there's this interesting idea of boasting. But we're boasting in hope.
To boast, to feel good about, to get puffed up about hope. That hope makes us buoyant, right? Because I think of that when I boast and that my chest gets big and I've got more graciousness and hope.
But I think today, as it was for the early Christians, finding a toehold that can allow me to see the world as holy and good, and there's a safe place, there's a meaningful place. If I can find that, then I'm going to celebrate it and boast about it, maybe, which is how I am about Jung.
Well, and if this forwards the conversation at all, that peace we have with God through our Lord Jesus Christ, that is the same kind of peace that's talked about in Philippians, the peace that surpasses understanding.
Yeah.
And so connecting that with boasting and hope makes me think of the word resilient. This keeps me resilient. And as Paul goes on to talk about afflictions, it helps me rise above the smallness and the pettiness of the world. It helps me rise above the injury that I have endured.
I think that Paul has read Edinger here because, because this whole thing about affliction producing endurance, that's my favorite thing that I've talked about before, that Edinger says, when affliction comes and I'm alienated from God or the higher self, and then I'm humbled, and then I reconnect in a stronger way, and that cord between me and the higher self gets clearer and stronger, and it only comes through affliction. And that's what we have here, that affliction produces all these great things.
Right? No pain, no gain.
Yeah.
Really don't care for that phrase. However, it is, like even going to the gym and working out, and I have sore muscles, right? There's some pain there. And through that pain, I grow stronger.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I also like that line, because of the love of God has been poured out into our hearts. I just like that visual, which actually connects so nicely with Ilia Delio. That love of God that is strong within us, and God, through us.
Right, that God is in
energy.
us.
Yeah.
That God is not outside us, but in us. Yeah. I think the big problem with this reading for me is just that it's been around and used so much, and used as a club, that it's hard to see it fresh. And that's what I know we're trying to do as we massage it, that we can see it fresh again and be wowed by it, because I think originally it was a wow.
Well, and that it's not to say that good things that we do are not important.
No, we're not.
Right.
Yeah.
However, sometimes people interpret this kind of reading as, oh, I'm just saved by my faith, and now I'm done. I don't have to do anything else. While those early disciples were active and doing good works, but it's not a competition of good works. We're all saved by faith. Yeah, saved by relationship, right? Through our relationship with God, we find redemption in this world and the next. Not through the competition of, how many times do I go to church, or how much have I given to charity, or because, wow, people really like to do that.
Yeah.
Compete.
Well, getting into the word faith, to me, if I had faith, real faith, what I think of as faith, I wouldn't worry about tomorrow. I wouldn't hoard. And I, like Marci, I'm a poet too, and I've had some poetry lately that I've been looking at, And it all has a very similar theme. It has this theme. One of the poems is looking at the birds that come to a mulberry tree and they just eat what they need, where I'll pick them all and put them in a baggie in my freezer.
Right.
You know, we would be saved by faith if that was what faith was. Like, I really believe that good rules the world, and I'm going to let down my guard and not play the same games.
Right, which all connects right to Matthew 6. You know, do not worry. You know, see the lilies of the field, right? And the birds that do not take more than what they need. And by the way, maybe you could bring a poem or two sometime.
Oh, thanks.
That would be great. Laura's a great poet.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'll find something. Thank you. Yeah. I just noticed that I was sending some out actually yesterday, and they all had kind of the same theme, like, stop worrying about it all. Not that I'm, totally giving away everything, but so much of our world, our modern world, whether it's insurance and having insurance or having a 401k or, any of these things we do because, come on, you can't be stupid. But it's totally not having faith, and we all just sort of agree to look the other way from that. I think I do anyway.
An interesting tension, though. What do I need to do, like with my 401k, to be responsible for myself and not expect other people to do for me what I can do for myself? And yet, how do I live in faith and trust at the same time?
Well, I think what you described is a real American way of thinking. And I know it blew my mind when I heard somebody from Africa talking about in their village, if you get a gift, if I get a gift, it doesn't belong to me, it belongs to everybody. And that everything is shared. And that private ownership. There's a wonderful book called The Service Berry. And there's another one called The Gift. 2 books that talk about how I don't want to use the word primitive, in tribes from long ago, and some tribes now, wealth exists only as it's passed from person to person to person to person. Our culture can't conceive of that, so we do the best we can. But boy, the early Christians were like that, and I romanticize about that.
Yes, it would be lovely, wouldn't it? And I have to admit, when I'm an old crusty lady, I don't want to expect or put that burden on my children to completely financially care for me.
Yeah, no.
And they would, right? They're lovely people, and maybe that's pride on my part. I'm not sure.
I think it's just an acknowledgement of the culture we live in, the primacy of the individual. And it's getting worse, I think. I look to Europe as, at least their social programs are continually geared toward making sure people get what they need. And we're moving in the opposite direction, unfortunately, here in the U.S.
Especially with healthcare.
Oh my gosh. And it sets up this feeling that I have to make sure I have enough saved so that I don't get into trouble. But that's not the faith I see in this reading. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox now.
Okay. All right, I'll go do some penance or something, since I need to work towards this faith a little more.
I'm not saying I have it. I just recognize that it would be amazing. And I think Ilya Dalio's view of evolution is that that's where we will evolve toward. We have to. that place where we're one world and we're not separate so much. And yeah.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Jesus said to his disciples, I have much more to tell you, but you cannot bear it now. But when she comes, the Spirit of truth, she will guide you to all truth. She will not speak on her own, but she will speak what she hears, and will declare to you the things that are coming. She will glorify me, because she will take from what is mine and declare it to you. Everything that the Father, Mother has is mine. For this reason, I told you that she will take from what is mine and declare it to you.
Ooh, another spirally reading.
That's so John.
So Marci did what she said she was going to do. She changed the pronouns.
I know the first time I read Carl Rahner, the theologian, he was talking about this. Carl Rahner talks about the Spirit a lot, and it's great stuff, but always talks about the Spirit as he. And each time I read it, I kind of flinch a little, like,
Yeah.
pain. No, Carl, you're so close, but it's a she.
Yeah.
Get your pronoun right.
Yeah, language. Man, it's such a difficult thing. Okay, so Jesus can't tell us stuff because we can't bear it.
Or we're just too dumb, right? we can't take it all in. It's like the fire hose thing. It's like, okay, we need it a little slower. We need a drinking fountain. And so the Spirit's going to kind of slow it down and help us receive as we're able to.
Yeah. It's really interesting because what we're talking about here is God inside us. We just keep getting different readings saying when God is inside you, you're going to get it.
And that we get it on our timeline. Like God somehow respects that. Or we are the ones actually that hold, the gas pedal about how much we can take in at any one moment. And it's different for all people.
Do you see that here in this reading, what you just said?
Well, just about like that, you cannot bear it now.
I see.
When she comes.
It's the last line, I told you that she will take from what is mine and declare it to you. What I wrote down is we have different ways to experience the Spirit, of course, many ways. There are all the religious rituals, and for Jung, there's active imagination, which is bringing forth what is churning inside of me in terms of energies that are people or places or things that I actively allow to speak in a way like a dream, and it's powerful. I was talking to someone today about they were talking about doing a ritual in Oak Park, and the ritual is to go to places where there has been trauma in the city and to do rituals around that in order that we can all be healed of the traumas in certain locations. And it is a kind of active imagination. It's acting out. It is reenacting something, not maybe the crime, but the effect of it, perhaps. I'm not sure what they're going to do. But I think for myself, any creative ritual brings the Spirit forward. Yeah.
Well, rituals take us from A to B, from who we were to who we are to becoming.
Yeah.
And so I love that idea as using rituals as a part of healing the world.
Yeah.
And that's another Ilia Delio thing, right? She talked about how we are connected with everyone in the world, and the wings of a butterfly,
Right.
Can create so much.
That our consciousness extends in ways that we don't even realize.
Mm-hmm.
And that, well, she didn't bring up prayer. I think that's a really interesting way to think about how consciousness travels.
Yes.
In ways we don't understand. But even beyond formal prayer, just the consciousness that I hold.
Mm-hmm.
So what I wrote here, they're talking about the spirit of truth. She will guide you to all truth. And I wondered, what is the truth that I've been guided to learn? What is the truth that you've been guided to learn? And I think the truth that I always churn around, that has to do with Jung, and it has to do with my own unique life story, is that and Ilia talked about this. I was so really happy. It's like the search for wholeness, and that my inner consciousness, my emotions, all of these parts of me are part of God and are need to be acknowledged and need to be healed. I can't remember if she said all that the other night, because I know I've read her too.
Mm-hmm.
And she loves Jung, and I'm so happy that we're on that same track. So that's, I think, the banner I carry, the truth that I've learned through the hardships in my life. How is the Spirit, what is the truth that the Spirit has spoken to you?
It's all about love. I know that seems so cliche, but I believe it in the fullness of my heart, that it is love that endures. It's love that changes me, that changes other people, that transforms everything.
Yeah, and if I didn't know you and I was listening to this podcast, I'd be like, yeah, blah, 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 blah.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. It's terrible.
But it's because I know you and I know how you love that I can attest to that. Like, you really do this.
Thank you.
Yeah, but yeah, language is kind of a bummer. We need more words, better words.
Mm-hmm. And love requires sacrifice.
Yeah.
That's real love. That what I do and let go of for another, that's how love is transmitted.
Yeah.
It's not about like abusing self. It's not what I'm saying, but it is that kenosis, that self-giving, self-emptying for another and for the world.
Well, here's a little bit more from David Foster Wallace. The really important kind of freedom involves attention and awareness and discipline, and being able truly to care about other people and to sacrifice for them over and over in myriad, petty, unsexy ways every day. It can be a drudgery. So Rick's been sick, really sick, and I've just spent, the week going, what do you need? Do you need some tea? Should I make you lunch? Should I make you breakfast? Should I make you dinner? It's just like, I love caring for him, but I also can feel the drudgery of like being a maid,
Mm-hmm.
and that is pretty unsexy. And it's meaningful, and I'm not complaining.
Well, and I think, part of that story is that Rick also does that for you.
Oh, sure.
Right? Well, and that's, though, an important dynamic in love. If one person is always doing the self-sacrificing, that's not a loving relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That's servitude.
Yeah.
It's when it's that free-flowing of back and forth. And we're both people, both individuals, give 100%. It's not 50-50.
Hmm.
And that's when the cup overflows. Well, and speaking of kind of that mutuality, back to the gospel, right? That Jesus, the Christ, and the Spirit are so intertwined and connected.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that she will glorify me and that I'm a part of her, and that God, the Creator, is everything and has everything. And it really does hearken to that playful connection in the book of Proverbs in the first reading, how these two are co-creators, that mutuality that we find in the Trinity that is really hard to attain, but a worthwhile goal to strive for. There's always that flow to it, that give and that take, as opposed to complete mutuality. I wrote my dissertation on mutuality, and so got a couple things to say about it, which I won't say because we'll be here for a couple more hours.
Wow. So I'm sorry because I must have missed something you said. So just so I clarify, and I can clarify in the edit, you're talking about mutuality with each other.
Within the Trinity.
There is it within the Trinity, and you're saying that's something we can strive for in life.
Yes.
With each other.
Correct.
I see.
You know, within our relationships. And not just with people. I think we need to extend that to all of creation, you know, and to acknowledge and notice everything that the earth gives me. And then how do I give back to the earth?
Yeah.
So the earth isn't the only one self-sacrificing.
Every time you mention the Holy Spirit, I pick up my paper to look for a quote from Jung. There are so many, and I'm not going to read any right now, but check the show notes because I'll probably put some there.
I really like Holy Trinity Sunday.
Yeah.
The interweaving of God.
Well, thank you so much for being with us again. And please share this podcast if you know anyone who loves to think about religion, psychology. And we look forward to hearing from you if you want to write to us or give us a comment. And we will look forward to being with you again next week.
See you later, honey.